Hello, y'all, and welcome back to FloTrack, Demitra, presented by Wonderful Pistachios, Episode 3. I'm your host, Demitra Carter, and joined with me today, we have Johnny Pace, fresh off the plane from China. How are you doing today? How was your flight?
It was great. It was a light 26 hours. And when you say fresh off the plane, that's pretty accurate. I have not gone home yet, but I would not want to miss the opportunity to meet up and talk about everything that happened this weekend. So I'm so excited to be here and to be able to tell you all about it.
I can't wait to dive into it. We have Ashley Tishins. Welcome back. Gearing up for the 10 this weekend. How are you doing?
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'll be out there with Brian and John from our team at the 10. And, you know, I love distance running, so excited to talk about that and also recap everything from World Indoors as well.
I love that. And then Nia Gibson, welcome back. Gearing up for a full week of Texas Relays. How are you doing today?
I'm so ready.
Awesome. I want to dive straight into the best thing that we saw last week. It was on Miles Split's account. I don't know if it's at 1 million views yet, but it should be.
It's close. The other day I looked, and I think it was like 979,000.
It's close. I might go play it on my phone.
I wonder who it could be about.
Let's go ahead and play the video of Quincy's aura. For context, the 4x200, both the boys and girls team of Bullets ran at Adidas Nationals this weekend, and this is live footage of his aura. I think that's insane to knock down a barrier.
So context. So I saw this video before it was even posted. David Wynn, who is our guy, he's Miles Split, Ohio. He was there covering Adidas. And so all of a sudden he's like telling us that like some crazy stuff was happening at Adidas. And then all of a sudden I see this video, and David was the one filming this video. And so, yeah, I guess like the Bullets was like high-fiving after their prelims in the 4x2, and all of a sudden someone like pushed down the barriers, and then they were like trying to sprint out, like security was like getting him out of the way. It was kind of fun.
Is David okay?
He's fine. He's fine. He said he did have to go like hide under the stands, you know. He almost got, I don't know if you saw in the video, he almost got clotheslined by the coach because they're trying to block him from like going out the door with them, but he's like a mile split.
That's crazy.
So this was my first time seeing this. So do I understand that they were being like mobbed, like people were chasing after them, or what was happening?
So yeah, I guess like so they had it was after the 4x2 prelim, and he has just so many fans that like they're all trying to swarm him essentially. Yeah. So they had these barricades up to like keep people away from like the athlete area, and then some people like pushed him down.
They breached the perimeter.
They breached the perimeter.
That was not what I was expecting. I've seen some more clips like of that weekend. The aura didn't stop there, I don't think.
You know, there was so many different angles, and the fact that it was prelims, like they were coming for Quincy. I think we talked about a little bit earlier. There was a graphic that had like aura rankings with Adidas bag, Quincy, and then LeBron James, and I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what feels like Justin Bieber or the Beatles. I haven't seen, fandom quite like this in a long time. This is incredible.
And the crazy thing too, so like you were saying, there's more videos like this out there from the meet. Like there's different POVs that have been posted. Like I think there's like I saw a video of him like coming like off the track afterwards, like the track area, like right next to it, people just swarming him like for photos and stuff like that. It's crazy that a 17-year-old junior in high school has almost this like transcendent like personality and stuff that like now all of a sudden like he's not only huge obviously in the track and field space as we've seen, but like I would argue that like on a more national scale, like in terms of not just high school track and field, but just track and field in general, like he's pretty well known.
Yeah, 100. I think everybody knows him. I mean, yeah,
and
like youngest Olympian.
He's easy to like. He's a sweet kid, like clearly very humble. His story is incredible. And I was just gonna say, I don't think I've seen this for any professional track athlete at that level.
I think Sydney and Tara Davis are the only two that pop into mind. Tara Davis, Woodhall. We'll talk about Texas Rays a little bit later, but
I mean, pushing down barriers, come on, too.
No, Tara,
crazy.
I'm not gonna lie. I hate to Quincy's up there. Tara, her high school fan base. I was at Texas Relays one year. Yeah. They were like waiting for that girl to exit the track. Yeah. Like her fan base is insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, deservedly so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think across history who else has had that sort of fan presence.
In track and field, I don't know too many.
I mean, that is very special.
Yeah.
And he's just getting started. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I think the only other comparison, not even really a comparison, the only other time I've seen people go crazy for someone at a meet was with Craig Engels.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I covered the Sir Walter Myler when I was like 18 or something like that. And he's, big. He's a huge North Carolina guy, obviously from North Carolina. And so he raced there. And I remember just afterwards, like these kids were just like swarming him for pictures.
He's the man that launched a 1,000 mullets.
Exactly.
He inspired a generation. Mustaches and mullets on tracks have kind of been a mainstay ever since that man.
I love that. All right, I want to dive into this next topic. It's called The Final Rose. It's a play on The Bachelor. If you don't watch The Bachelor, I'm not going to spoil who wins, don't worry. But the idea is that we're going to give our final rose to the person from World Indoors that we feel deserves it. Also, if you watch Could Have Been Love, very similar vibes. I know you watch it.
I'm an avid Could Have Been Love watcher. I don't miss an episode. Just caught the season finale, so I'm going to think about this as a Could Have Been Love kind of segment, if that's all right.
No, that's perfectly fine. For my rose, I think you might have an idea who I'm giving mine to, but I'm giving mine to Trip Pippery. He is a multiple-time NCAA champion. This is his second senior team and his first world medal. He was a bronze medalist, and then Team USA went second and third with Roger's team getting second, Trip Pippery getting third, and that's who I would give my rose to.
And for those who do not know, do you have any connection to Trip, or
you know, I do actually. He's the love of my life. He's my boyfriend. Yeah, we go way back.
Wow. Well, tell me. Let's dive a bit deeper. What you guys have been talking since then? You were talking up through it. Like, how's the man feeling?
Yeah, I mean, he's feeling amazing. I think for him to switch coaches, he was training at University of Texas, to move to Oregon and kindly get that first medal, like to be able to witness all the hard work he puts in. And you know the time zone well. We were talking like 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. were like our hours to FaceTime.
You're going to bed. He's waking up.
No, yeah.
He's waking up. You're going to sleep.
Yeah, no, literally. So I think it was fun to be able to support his journey, watch his journey, and to see that, like, I'm not trying to boost him. He's actually really good. If you go in Austin, Texas, he has a banner by the football and track stadium. I promise.
Well, he's been knocking on this for a while, I think, like getting that medal, and like he's always in the conversation. He's always in contention. But this is huge. Like this really, he's got to be so happy about this.
Yeah, I'm hoping he touches 22 points soon.
Obviously, American men's shot put so competitive. You think of guys like Ryan Krauser, Joe Kovacs. So for him to go out there and get a global medal, that's obviously huge.
Yeah, I think USA shot put will always be on top for me.
Yeah.
Johnny, I will toss it to you. Who are you going to give your rose to?
Oh, wow. Well, I got to be there on site, and I got to watch a lot of these races firsthand. And, the event that stood out to me the most, and I think the most incredible story, I think I am giving my rose to Claire Bryant, who was in the long jump. And it was the most amazing thing. I don't know if we have the graphic, and I don't know if you've seen the graphic, but this girl came in with a 4% chance to win.
She beat all the odds.
And I was sitting there photographing as she's jumping, and I'm like realizing, whoa, like, she's doing really, really well. And like she kind of ran away with it, like, or jumped away with it, I suppose. And this is 6.96 or something. Hey, do we have the graphic here? There's some good stats. It's on World Athletics. Yeah, go through this post.
It's towards the end.
Yeah, so this is Claire's Instagram. I took some of these photos. So odds before competition, chance of a win, 4.7%. Chance of a medal, 21.9%. They predicted that she was going to get 6.63 meters in place 7th. All right, so that's what she went in with. Not, for a first global championships, that's still pretty respectable. Now, do we have the final result? Can we see a little bit further down? No, that's all right. I think she went 6.97 and, got gold. So, Claire, I think that you should be so psyched about that, so proud of yourself. Clearly just the beginning, and really appreciated you talking after the competition, and she was just over the moon. So, I think she's well-deserved rose for Claire.
Yeah, I was watching from home. It looked like she was having the time of her life. Like, she was having a good time.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I think for... it's an interesting thing, right? Because World Indoors, going in, a lot of the top, like, maybe global athletes, people you've seen compete at the Olympics or stuff, opted not to go. So a lot of athletes opted not to go. But I think in that way, it, like, opens up room for people like Claire Bryant and, some of these athletes to have their moment and, like, have a huge performance and win that global medal that they've been searching for. Not to say that they're like not the same level, because they are all the same level, but it's a different competitive field. And so I think having these athletes have their moment is really cool.
I'm excited for her for the same reason I was excited for Tripp last week prior to this, because with her coming in here is one of those things where I always say this is one of those people you have to remember her name. And again, it's one thing to know you can do it and have the potential to do it and have been training to do it. It's another thing to do it. So the fact that she has done it, I think we have a lot to look forward to in the upcoming outdoor season.
I agree. It's something about that first medal. And for her first to be gold, that's impressive. That's
good way to open it up.
Yeah. Ashley, I'll pop it to you.
Right.
I'll hand you your...
You asked me this morning who my pick is, and I was like, I already got it right off the top of my head. I have to give it to Akane Simbine.
Okay.
This guy has been around for so long, and he has been so close to getting a global medal so many times. And he finally got his first global medal. He got bronze in the men's 60. I'm going to take y'all through his resume, like how close he's been over the past 10 years to making a global podium. At the Rio Olympics, he was 5th in the 100. At London Worlds in 2017, he was 5th in the 100. At Doha Worlds in 2019, he was 4th in the 100. Then in Tokyo, he was 4th. Eugene Worlds, he was 5th. At the Olympics last year, he was 4th. I mean, imagine getting 4th and 5th so many times and just not being quite there. And it's crazy to think, because he's been around for such a long time. So to say that this is his first ever individual medal is crazy. But I'm just glad that he finally had his moment, and perhaps this will be what can propel him to the next level come Tokyo and stuff. Would love to see him medal again in the 100. I
mean, I think with Claire and with him as well, and like you said, with these championships, there's such thing as momentum, and when you finally break through, that will generally tend to continue to build on itself, which is why I think that some of these athletes getting chances to represent at this championships are so exciting for their futures, because once you have something in the bank, and you can perform and compete at that level, it just builds on itself. And so that's I think a cool storyline of an indoor championship, where maybe not the top of the top are always going, it opens up windows for the next big athlete to break in. And so I think we're gonna see more of him. It was cool to see him do, because he's been around a while.
He's been around a very long time. And I would argue that he's always been in this conversation as one that's a favorite to win a medal. He just has never gotten it done. And so and I think that speaks to really just how competitive it is, especially in the men's sprints and stuff like that, especially in that 100 meters. I mean, finally, hopefully that's something he can add into his, he can add it to his resume, and then hopefully he can get another medal in Tokyo.
Yeah, 100%.
Fingers crossed. All right, Nia, popping it over to you. Who are you giving your final rose to?
Well, since you asked, I think I'm going to give it to Nicola Oleslager of Australia. She won the high jump. And the biggest reason why I want to give it to her is because she's just a breath of fresh air. There's not many events I watch in track and field where I'm sitting there smiling as if I'm watching a feel-good movie. I felt like I was watching 13 going on 30. It wasn't that intense thriller type thing, because she just kept it so light, so fun. And again, I always say this. I said this about New Balance Nationals last week, about how it's such a special event because there's that seriousness, but there's still that fun because they're still kids. And I saw a kid-like energy just exude from the television as I was watching her jump. She was smiling on her way to clearing ridiculous heights. She would yell, "Come on," before she starts her jump. And I just, it's not many times I would watch it. My honorable mention is definitely Devin Charlton. But as I was watching her run, I was just like, come on, Devin. But you're not having that type of energy as you're watching Nicola, because you're just like, wow, this was so nice. And it's not often that you see that.
Did you see her little victory dance?
I did. I did. It was so cute. And it was so, it's you just want to be friends with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a feel-good moment watching her, win. And I was up very early to watch that.
Yeah, so I'm
very late.
I can't remember. Late.
Yeah, late.
I'm curious because these events, I think it was kind of inverted. Morning sessions were taking place at night. When was the craziest time you guys were watching this?
I don't know. I feel like mine weren't that crazy. I would get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh my
watch.
God,
So
that's
5:30 to 8:30 were
All right,
Those are my shifts
that's
to
your
watch.
answer. That is pretty early.
I was up until midnight, and then I woke up at 6 in the morning to see Trip.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
That was that I got like 4 hours.
There was no like 3 a.m.s for anybody.
No.
No.
Okay.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
goodness.
I've definitely been awake at 3 a.m. for some events before for this job. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, 3 a.m. You could catch me at like 7 at that point.
Yeah. It was definitely crazy to me to like be messaging you guys, and you'd be like waking up, and I'd been awake all day, and
Yeah.
it's definitely like that time zone changes throws you off a little bit. But
100%.
How's the jet lag?
so far so good.
Okay.
I think this is still in the window of time where it's like a time I would be awake. I don't actually know, but
No, you would be going to sleep. I hope so.
maybe I'll fall asleep mid show. So far so good.
Nice. Well, let's go ahead and get into this track and field deep dive. We had obviously Worlds happened this week, and then we have some upcoming things like Texas Relays and the 10. But let's keep talking about Worlds. I will pop it over to you, Johnny.
Yeah.
You were in China. Tell me about the experience of being in China, the people in China, and then being, of course, on the ground at the event.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't understate what a good time I had on this trip. I think it was probably one of the most fun I've had in recent memory. Like, it was across the board a home run. It basically nearly didn't happen. I think the odds of that I made it out there were probably 5% or less. Everything from the visa, like the visa is very complicated as a journalist. You have to like send your passport into DC. It's got
The athletes have to do it too.
yeah, everybody's got to do it.
yeah.
There's no like skirting those rules. Like there's 4 places in the United States you can go to, but you have to go in person or somebody has to go for you. Long story short, I basically didn't get my visa approved till the day before I was scheduled to fly, and then it still had to get overnighted here, so it was not guaranteed. I received it in the mail in FedEx 10 minutes before boarding, and somehow made it on this plane, and thank goodness I did. The last time I was in China was 5 years ago. I was doing grad school there, and that COVID broke out while I was there, so I left under tough conditions, and so I was very much looking forward to going back this time under better circumstances. And let me just say, China is an incredible place. Like, I was basically just wide-eyed the whole time. I stayed the hotel that they had for us. Probably the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in and or will stay in.
The athletes did not say the same, but go ahead.
They must have saved the good one for the journalists, because it's about $100 a night. It probably was. It was like grand. It was. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, so nice. The best breakfasts I ever have had at a hotel.
I want you to know, I was talking to Trip, Roger, Monet,
Interesting.
Tyra Gittins, and
They
they were
didn't
like,
say the same.
No disrespect, but I heard that sometimes the food given to athletes isn't always the best.
Huh.
But I heard that across the board. There's very
Okay.
few meats.
Well, I was a bit hesitant, but yeah, wherever I was, we were in the journalist hotel, which was
Yeah.
different than the athlete hotel.
I need to come to that hotel.
Yeah,
Go
definitely.
ahead.
Next to the Yangtze River International Convention Hotel.
I'll be there.
Could not recommend it. I mean, we were right there on the water. To me, when I go to a new city, like getting out for a run is how I get to experience that city, and that's what brings me the most energy. I made sure I got out every day they had the. I consider myself a waterfront path connoisseur.
Okay.
I collect them. I run them all over the world. Like, I seek them out. This earns top marks right up next to like the New York City West Side Highway. Absolutely spectacular, incredibly beautiful, great for running. So if you're ever finding yourself in Nanjing, make sure you find that waterfront path, because
Nice.
it was beautiful. So I made sure I did that in between each session. So anyways, that's more about the experience. But the meet itself, the track, absolutely incredible. The Nanjing Cube is what they call it, which I think is a fun name for a track. But it's an Olympic training center, so they did World Athletics events generally are done pretty well. The staff that was there to support us, so friendly and welcoming. And yeah, it was run super nicely, and like it was not as big a scale, at least it felt like, as like Budapest, for example. So it wasn't as overwhelming, like as far as like, as a media person trying to navigate all that, was able to interact with a lot of the athletes. And yeah, just get to firsthand experience this. It was really an awesome time. And I was on the fence if I was wanting to go back, because just of how it's a long trip, right? It's 30 hours, 26 to 30 hours. But I'll go back in a heartbeat. It was amazing. So
No, I'm glad you had a good experience. I think kind of bouncing off of the crowd, I think we heard a lot in interviews from like Jakob or some other people who won. They were like the crowd kind of like brought them across the line.
Yeah.
And I know we gave our final roses, but like was there any crowd moments that you were like, wow, this really helped the athlete? I'll go first. I think Akira Nugent, I'm so happy. I think I don't know if there were any Jamaicans there, but I think like the Jamaican community supported her, and the Chinese crowd that was there were like rooting for that girl.
I'll tell you what, the Chinese are very proud of their athletes. I think anybody wearing that Chinese jersey, the place would erupt. I thought it was funny, and understandably so. But yeah, they were. The place would like roar, and I'd be like, "Oh, there's probably a Chinese athlete up next." So
yeah, I remember that tour. I think it was like the men's 4x4 or something. I think China at one point was like in third, trying to gun for second, and all of a sudden it got really loud in there. Even though the U.S. was dominating the entire like relay, but yeah.
I will also add they had a kind of a fun thing. They had like hand clappers for everybody, and so people would just be like doing those hand clappers continues. I'd never seen that before at a track meet.
Was it a World Athletics thing or was it like a?
Well, they were in the seats ahead of time, so they may have been planted there.
I like it.
But I thought it was funny. I'd never seen it. But no, it was unique, and that was a predominantly Chinese crowd. Like I think sometimes at World Championships you'll see folks a pretty even spread. But I think just with the visa, I think. We had actually a friend of FloTrack who helps with our ranking system. He was out there. He said he was like one of maybe 2 or 3 Americans that had made it out. So that was unique to see. But it was the city came out and showed their support, which was neat.
I'm curious. Obviously, we all watched the meet and covered it either remotely or from afar. Like, I know we already gave it our roses, but like, what are some of those big notable performances that really stand out to you?
Okay, we got to talk about Jakob.
Yes, I think that's a big storyline there. Go ahead. What are your takes on Jakob?
Huge storyline. I mean, just Jakob has actually this was his first double medal, like double gold. You got to fact check me on this. I don't know. I think he's gotten gold at a world championship before, right?
Yeah, on the 5K.
Yeah, but never the double like this. And so
I don't think the double's been done.
It hasn't been done since like a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know also too, it's his first ever world indoors.
Yeah, and so I mean, just commanding that both fields. I mean, he looked as he tends to do sometimes. He will kind of toy around with the competition. He's not gonna like run from the front all the time like he does kind of in the diamond leagues. Like he would run from the back. But whenever he decided to make his move, he would. I think to me the coolest one was with the 3K though, where it came down to kind of that final sprint. It was pretty tight, honestly, but yeah, he pulled it off, and I think that was probably when the crowd, like when Jakob was running, the crowd was going the craziest.
Yeah, I think that 3K battle there with him and Barahu Aragawi was really intriguing. I think that it just showed that Jakob had more leg speed. Aragawi's someone that's kind of gone more to the roads now, and obviously he's shown he has the resume to do that on the roads. But then he comes back to shorter distance at the 3K, and he just didn't have the speed there at the end. I think one thing that was interesting, and would be curious on everyone's takes on this. I know afterwards, I think in the mixed zone, Jakob was asked about. I think it was after the 1500. About like all of his Olympic 1500 meter foes, I guess you could say. None of them showed up. None of them were competing at World Indoors. Yeah. And he was asked if he was disappointed about that. And he said, aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
I'm curious about everyone's opinions. Obviously, I think Jakob is someone he's shown historically, like he's going to show up for as many global championships as he can. He didn't run World Indoors last year, but it was because he was injured. Makes an effort to come back here again. So curious for everyone's takes on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jakob. I think it's one thing that he always wants the competition. He'll always talk stuff, and I respect it every single time. Some people get sick, some people didn't show up, but I mean, he got his title, but I respect what he said. Like, aren't we all a little sad? Like, too bad, so sad. I got my medal. Next, we'll try again. But yeah, what about you, Nia?
I like his attitude. I like it a lot. It's very similar. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of NBA, but I don't know. Have you ever heard like fans complain about load management with some of the star players? One of those things where it's just like he doesn't do that. He's like, I'm going to show up for myself, my fans. This is who I do it for. And I like that he takes so much pride in that. I really do. You can tell he's fun to watch. You can always look forward to seeing him on that track as long as he's healthy. And we need more of it in the sport.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. He's a weapon, and he's always going to show up when he can. And track is difficult to like really align with injury. And so like we had I think his big 1500 competitors were at indoors last year when he was hurt. And like it's very difficult to get, even more than 2 people lined up, as far as with their training cycles and their injuries. And, I think the elephant in the room is this slam that's coming up. I think the big ones, Hawker and Nagoose and Kerr, are they have this new league we're going to be at in 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks time. So clearly that's playing a big factor. I don't think there's no ducking going on. It's like this is a big undertaking to compete 4 times in 4 events like this with the Grand Slams. That's just where the priorities are at this point in time this year. So I don't think there's any it's disappointing. We'd love to see it. I'm sure we'll get it eventually, but the Grand Slam is can't be denied, right? It's here, and it's playing a big factor as far as deciding when people are racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to dive into Grand Slam next week too.
Oh yeah,
because we'll be on the ground in Kingston. I do want to talk about these women's and men's 400s. As an American, selfishly, the men's 400 was a fun one to watch.
Yes.
1, 2, 3 is impressive.
Clean sweep.
Yeah. How were you feeling when you watched it?
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think I was really surprised. If you're looking at the caliber of the athletes in the field, I think the only person that probably could have potentially broken that up is Attila Molnar of Hungary. But seeing, again, Chris Bailey, he was the world leader coming into this, so no surprise to see him there come away with the title. And then Brian Faust and Ja'Cory Patterson. I believe Brian Faust had a season best to get a medal there, and Ja'Cory Patterson as well. I think, the U.S. continues to show, especially on the men's side and the women's side, its depth in that 400-meter distance. Crazy to think, though. I think there are some people I wish I would have seen in that men's 400. I think I know who I'm talking about. Nathaniel Ezekiel, who was also one of the top athletes in the NCAA, finished second at NCAA indoors, was second in the world this year at 44.74. Was not entered by Nigeria into this meet, which is such a shame. I think that could have made it a much more interesting final, I think, if he had been there. But I guess it is what it is, which is a shame to say it shouldn't be that way.
No, 100%. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it was cool seeing 3 U.S. jerseys coming around that bend. Because you only get 2 spots, and so I think it was Faust who had an automatic bid to the championships. So that a lot had to align for that to even be possible, and then for them to actually do that clean sweep. That's the thing of beauty, man. I'll tell you what. So that was really neat.
I love that. And then the women's 400. I know, Nia, you were rooting for Alexis. I think we all were. But I think to see Amber Hughes come away with that win. And then on that first turn, Alexis and Amber kind of had a little elbow moment.
A little elbow going on.
Track's a contact sport. That's really what this boils down to. But I think for me, I liked how Amber Branding responded. She did get that elbow there from Alexis Holmes at the break, but she was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this stop me from getting a gold medal. And she was the one that outleaned her at the line to get the gold.
Those adjustments are so important. And I think that was the difference between Amber and Alexis' races. The way Amber was able to kind of turn it on after getting elbowed and kind of adjust maybe the race strategy, despite that happening. I think those little things, those little tweaks makes all the difference. How are you able to, as I was saying, adjust on the fly when things happen that you're not necessarily expecting?
I will say selfishly, it's too bad we didn't have Isabella Whitaker and some of these NCAA collegiate athletes in the field, because we've seen how fast they can go. Leah Butler, all those athletes. Selfishly, I wish that there was a way to get all those together and have one huge cool final.
Yeah.
If we had a race similar to what was happening at NCAA Nationals, I really wonder what type of times we would we have been seeing between first and sixth place. If, let's say, in another world that Isabella ran that 49.2 in China, how fast is the whole field going? How fast is she pulling them? Will she pull away? Will she perform the same way with that caliber of a field? I'm always interested in those storylines, because settings definitely does matter when you're running a race.
I completely agree. I think time zones, everything. And I'm also curious to see, too, I think we get lucky to see it at USA Outdoors. I think track and field is one of those sports where you can low-key run with the professionals and come back to college again. So I think USA Outdoors, and then we'll I mean, fingers crossed, if all goes well, we'll have a really, really, really good 4x4. And they get to not only run together, go for a record, but
the only
hopefully
bad
win.
thing, though, is that, like, if you look at the NCAA, it's so long if you think about it. Like, so you got Worlds in September. You compete, if you're a collegiate athlete, you're competing indoors, you're competing outdoors, which starts now. Like, we have Texas Relays and all that this weekend, kind of kicking things off. Then you're competing through NCAAs. Then you got to come back for USAs, and then you got to hold on until September. Like, that's just, I feel like that's the one bad thing is, like, obviously you see collegiate athletes excel at USAs and make teams and stuff like that, but it is such a hard, long season to, like, continue that on for, like, an entire year.
100%. I think, I mean, from my perspective, I think sometimes coaches prepare their athletes for it. I think so I'll kind of backtrack. So Leo was at UT. He made the team that year, his last year. Tripp was at UT, won NCAAs, made the team last year. I think you see a lot of collegiates, even like your Quincy Wilson, who's a high schooler, probably been running since January, December, make teams. I think sometimes coaches have it in the back of their head, like what the goals are. NCAAs, nationals, make the team. And I think if you're really that good, you got it in you. And if injuries, of course, sometimes happen, but it's always fun to watch. Sometimes you get injuries. Sometimes you get like a Britton Wilson, which is unfortunate. Like it gets hard on your body, but it's always fun to watch athletes who can compete and be that good for that long.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. I have a couple more races I want to dive into from Worlds. It's not anything too crazy, but Mondo pole vault. It's always fun to watch him. I do feel like he had to jump a little more than he normally does, though. But I don't know if it was the time zone change. What did that look like from your perspective?
Yeah. Well, you have to refresh me. I think he didn't jump a ton, right?
He didn't jump a ton, but he jumped a little bit more than he normally does, and he didn't keep going for the record like he would usually do. He's feeling good.
He had a miss, I think, at either 6 meters or 6:05, and so I think because of that extra attempt, he kind of was like, all right, once he cleared 6:15 and 1, like he was done. But honestly, it was a little bit intriguing because obviously he still dominated the competition, but Emmanuel Corrales of Greece, like he continues to show that he is not to be messed around with. I think in this pole vault competition, he cleared a national record 6.05 meters, which huge for him. And I think we saw him have a huge breakthrough last year in Paris. I remember watching him vault. I believe he won a medal there in Paris at the Olympics. And so he continues on this streak of, all right, he's in this 6.05 club now, at least indoors. But then back to the point of Mondo, I remember on the broadcast they were saying, I think when he made his clearance at 6:05, it was his 100th career clearance over 6 meters. Like, that's just insane. First off, who's keeping track of that? And then second off, like, that's just unmatched.
It's just crazy how easy he makes it look. And, we've gotten to see him vault across the years, and I still just never feel like we get to see him go 100%. He's like, I don't even know. There's so much space above the bar every time, and he's still setting world records a lot of the time. He didn't this weekend, but just his composure and his athleticism and his aura, I might add, is just pretty unique. And yeah,
You said his aura?
his aura, he's just got this, like,
You know who I think has the best aura?
tell me.
Wu, men's high jump of
Oh.
Korea.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
that guy was going crazy. That was so funny. He was so into it.
My first time seeing him compete was at Oregon 22. Have y'all heard? Did they do the thing where they go woo, woo in the crowd?
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, I became a fan. Tripp texted me. He was like, Demitra, I just met Wu. He followed me back. I'm like, oh my God, you made it. Like,
And the people loved Wu. They loved him out there.
I love Wu.
Yeah.
I hope I get to see him compete in Tokyo because he's really like that. Yeah, his aura point is off the chart.
Yeah, love that.
You said you had a couple more races you want to talk about anymore?
Yeah, nothing too crazy. Grant Holloway doing what he does
Shocker,
best.
yep.
Yeah, no surprise there.
But did you see some of the photos? I got to send you the one from like his win. The way, I think he had to kind of work for that final.
I don't know if he had to work for it, but I think he
He hurdled an invisible hurdle on his way to a win.
I feel like he was just leaning a little hard that
He was
day.
like leaning. I had never seen a body move like that.
It was impressive. I just feel like it was just a regular day,
I mean, I think, again, Grant Holloway, like, I know we talked about this last week when previewing World Indoors, but, like, Grant Holloway just is, like, you don't see another athlete like this in an event like the 60-meter hurdles, the 110 hurdles. The only slight blemish on his resume throughout his whole career is that silver in Tokyo. Like, that is the only tiny little thing. And to call that a blemish is just, like, mind-boggling. But,
he's in his own stratosphere.
He's, similar to, like, you think of someone like Cindy McLaughlin-Levrone in, like, the 400 hurdles, like, how she's, just dominated that event. He's been doing the same thing in the men's high hurdles.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's not like oftentimes you see somebody that's potentially unbeatable in the sport. And to your point about Sydney and Grant, it's like I don't see them losing anytime soon. I remember in the press conference at USA's, he did mention obviously everything does come to an end at some point, but that day is not today. And I feel like that day is very far from today, like March 25th. So it's one of those things where it's like I don't see him falling off anytime soon. And that is scary in the best way.
Yeah, it's almost like he's preserving himself because I believe in the interview after Worlds, people ask why he's not doing Grand Slam. And he's like, I respect everything about it, but it doesn't make sense for what Grant wants to do. And he was talking about himself in third person, but I respect it. He has bigger plans and wants to make his resume the best that it can be. All right, I do. You have something?
Are you thinking the same race I'm thinking of?
Go ahead.
I was going to say the men's 800.
Yes.
Did you have that on your list or no?
No, it's in my mental list.
It's in your brain.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm watching it. So I was like, what made me most excited? I love Josh. I didn't become a fan of him until this year. That's crazy to say, but I was like, oh, I really like you. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, again, crazy season for him. Undefeated on the year, caps it off indoors, undefeated campaign, wins his first ever global title in the 800. And it was his first ever international global championship, wins gold. I mean, talk about the season he's had. American record. He also beat Grant Fisher over 1,500 meters at New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. I mean, this guy's just been on a tear. I think if you watch how that race went out, he went out crazy. Part of me wonders if he was trying to go for a world record based on how fast he went out. I think they went through 400, I think, in like 50 points.
He was running.
Crazy.
But then Brandon Miller took the lead.
He did, which... love Brandon Miller, but looking back on that, considering how fast they were going, that was a little bit of a bold move there, and it didn't end up paying out. And I know he finished, I think, in fifth place. Yeah. But yeah, and I think also afterwards, just like I know Johnny, you had a chance to speak with him in the mix zone, hearing about just this journey he's been on. Like Josh Hoey turned pro straight out of high school. Mm-hmm. It's taken him like 6 years almost to like really get into a groove professionally. Yeah. I would say he kind of found like that spark last year. He just missed the Olympic team in the men's 800 for Team USA. I know, again, you talked to him. So like, what were your thoughts on what he had to say and just this journey he's been through just to get up to this point? Yeah,
I mean, he, like you said, he's had to put his work in, but like I think he's grounded in a lot of he's got a good foundation, like with his family dynamics and his ethos for why he does what he does, and I think it's well deserved, and clearly hard work pays off. It's not always going to be immediate. In this sport, you can't always have immediate. What is the word, like validation, or sometimes things take time, and he's clearly having his moment right now, and he's got a great head on his shoulders, and I think a lot of humility and appreciation for like how far he's come, and he's also a scholar as well. He named his training group after, he says he reads a lot of Shakespeare.
Isn't his training group his brother's?
It was. So he's had a track. I have to double check on this, but okay. The group he trains with, which may or may not include his brothers currently. It is his brothers right now.
I think so.
Yeah. They named it after Shakespeare. So
I like it.
He's a gentleman and a scholar and a champion.
That's funny.
And he's super mentally tough. I think obviously there's not going to be like instant gratification the minute you go pro. But for a lot of these athletes, usually when they decide to do that, they're at the top of their game, and it usually translates that in their results. So the fact that he had to wait these 6 years for this moment is really nice. So the amount of patience he had to practice, the amount of probably adjusting he had to do, because as you're growing, so is the rest of the talent, so is the rest of the field. New people are coming into the game, and you have to adjust to that, run to that, also run your race, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this is also a testament to his mental fortitude in sport.
I agree. All right. That's a wrap for World Indoors. I hope we got what we need to talk about.
On to outdoor.
Yeah, on to outdoor. Texas has been starting outdoor since indoor's been going on at this rate. All the wins, all the things. But Texas Relays is this weekend. We'll have a lot of people here between high school, college, professional. I'm most excited, though, because we'll have some Olympic gold medalists on some relays. We'll be able to see Gabby Thomas, Masai Russell. What are y'all looking forward to in these fields?
Definitely the relay. Like I said, I'm here for the fun. Texas Relays is something to take seriously, but not that seriously. So it's nice. It's going to be nice to see a fun run of some sort. And it's also obviously going to be nice to see UT in their element, home crowd, home court advantage. Like, it's going to be nice to see that. And a nice precursor to the rest of outdoor, I think, is going to be for them, because I'm watching UT closely, because I feel like indoor season was almost their welcome to the SEC moment. So I'm trying to see, like, from what they took away from indoor season, how will this now translate to outdoor season? Will they act differently? Because arguably SEC is the best conference in track and field. So I am going to be watching that one, maybe with a little bit more of a serious eye, but then ready to have fun to watch them relays.
I agree. I'm excited to see all the hurdle girlies open up too.
For sure.
Like a Kayla Garrett, like all the hurdle girlies. Like your 400 hurdles hasn't happened yet. It's happening now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting if, looking at the invitational fields and stuff like that, like this is where a lot of your pros are kind of having their outdoor, like, shake off the rust moment, like they're going out there. I know Gabby Thomas, she did this also last year. So no surprise here. She's in Austin that she's going to kind of debut outdoors here this weekend. But so that's kind of, I feel like, where you see these pros come in, like Masai and all those, like, all right, let's just get this first one done in a fun atmosphere. Texas Relays is a fun atmosphere. The crowds are huge. So I think for those athletes, that's what they're thinking. And then on the collegiate side, those 4x1s, always intriguing. I think back to a couple of years ago, I think it was Houston and LSU men. I don't know if y'all have seen that video of the stare down. I'm sure y'all have seen it. It gets competitive. Like Texas Relays, like winning a Texas Relays title is big. So I was looking through some of the fields here, some of the top competitors you can see in the men's 100. You're going to have Houston, Kentucky, Texas, Texas Tech. On the women's side, you'll have Arkansas, Houston, Kentucky, Ohio State, Iowa, Texas, Texas Tech, TCU, UCLA. I mean, so there's some big programs coming out here, and they're hoping to put down some pretty fast times.
Yeah, what excites me about Texas Relays is handoffs matter, and you see it fail or succeed every time at Texas Relays. So I'm really excited to see who makes it out the prelims, and then on that final day, who can get the stick around efficiently, who might go for a record, and it's just the beginning of the season. So I love Texas Relays. My first Texas Relays, I saw Sha'Carri Richardson before she became like in college. I was like, oh, she's really good.
She's going to be somebody.
Yeah, I was like, she might be good. I'm not a scout or anything, but I think she's going to be good.
So I'm a lot higher level than all your guys, because I literally have never experienced Texas track in any way, shape, or form. I've never been to the meet. I've never been to the track. So I'm just excited to experience all this. I've covered meets and raced in meets all over the country. I have nothing about Texas to compare
I think we're in the same boat there. I don't know if it's an ACC thing or not, but this will also be my first Texas Relays.
All right, let me fill y'all in. I'm from Kansas, so I've been to Kansas Relays, but Texas Relays, it's honestly one of my favorite track meets. I think, one, from the way that they like structure everything. No disrespect to the prelims, but it's in the morning. So by the time you show up, you get to see the fastest high school heats, the fastest college heats, the fastest professional heats, and it's all compact in like this afternoon evening session. Nice. One, love it. They bring out the Longhorn. I don't know if that's legal or anything, but they do.
Yeah,
they bring it out.
Bevo, I think.
Yes, and I don't know if it's the same now, but the bucket that Bevo poops in has A&M on it, which is hilarious. I know the details that they put in. Like their rivalry goes way back.
So we get to see the Longhorn.
You get to see the Longhorn.
That's
He was a little crazy. Remember when he tried to jump Ugga at the
the Bulldog was in his way. You know what I mean?
Ugga was minding his business.
Given all the contact going on in track, I wonder if we'll see Bevo make a break for it.
You'll see me.
It wouldn't be his first
other
time.
direction. Yeah,
it wouldn't be his first time.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's
exciting.
a great meet. I think from a track connoisseur, I think they also market the meet well. So let's say you don't like track, if you go to it, like they have commercial, like it's entertaining.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And the crowds must be good.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I know. I think it was back in 2023. I just spectated Texas Relays just by myself. So fun. I mean, again, like I come from North Carolina, and like you're not seeing people show up like that in droves to like a big track meet really.
Yeah.
So to see that was like really cool. I think overall just, everything's bigger in Texas. And I think that holds true in track and field. I think of Texas relays. I think of I covered NCAAs when it was in Austin a couple years ago. That was really exciting. Even the Texas high school level, like they're going crazy. I mean, like the UIL state meet is like the craziest state meet I've ever seen. So I think just overall, like it's a fun environment.
Yeah, and the stadium's big and they fill it. Yeah.
I'm kind of picturing like a Penn Relays type.
Penn Relays, better weather.
Okay.
Like that's important because no disrespect to Penn, it's either rains, cold, it's always
rains
something.
like every year.
It's always something.
Yeah, it's never not rained. But
Penn Relays, better weather, huh?
Yeah.
I went there when it wasn't raining, but it was freezing. So
Last year, that may have been last year.
not last year. This was back when I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was freezing. Like a lot of the time we would go there because we were like, oh my gosh, we get to run in Penn Relays and get funnel cake. But it was
not
like,
your priorities. You say run, no.
everyone would love to go for the funnel cake. But yeah, it was like 50 degrees, real feel 43. I remember that one off the top of my head because you guys know I don't do well in the cold. So
Yeah, it'll be warm this weekend for Texas relays for sure.
I'm excited. I think we'll see fast times. I have a petition going to get NCAAs back in Austin. That's when we saw the sprint
would be
hurdle records
perfect.
going down.
be perfect.
But it's okay. Hayward Field is pretty cool too. Yeah. All right. I can't wait to see y'all at Texas Relays. You'll be at the 10, but I'm excited to introduce y'all to a proper Texas track meet.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
I'll give y'all a little tour.
All right, let me see what Texas is about.
All right, I want to go ahead and get into the 10. We'll go dive into what's next. We have the 10 streaming on FloTrack.
Yes.
All right, Ashley, you're going to be there. Let's take me through it. What's happening?
For those who don't know what the 10 is, put on by Sound Running, the 10, they call it the world's fastest 10K for a reason. The main draw here, there's a bunch of distance races. There's going to be a new Hoka High School day session during the day, but then as you get into the evening, you're seeing the main draw, which is the men's and women's Tokyo 10Ks. And the goal of these is to set national records, hit those world standards. It's 27 flat for men and 30-20 for women. So again, if you're looking at the fields this year, they've always put together historically good fields. This year is no different. If you're looking at some of the top entries, beginning on the men's side, you're going to have Graham Blanks, who we all know just turned pro from the NCAA level, Hoptum Samuel, who's one of the top collegiates right now in the space. You're going to have Adrian Wildshoot. Drew Hunter's making his return again.
Drew?
Yes, Drew.
Oh, baby.
I remember last year when last year at the 10 was when he ran his first ever 10K, and we all know that he almost made the Olympic team in the 10K.
Yeah.
Someone who turned miler to 10K, but he'll be back this year.
That dad strength.
That's right. Sean McGorty, Romain Legendre, Casey Klinger, Dennis Kippengetich. Like the men's field's going to be loaded. And then if you look on the women's side, some big names. You're going to have Elise Cranny, Wayne Colati, Taylor Rowe, Courtney Waymont, Pamela Cosguy, who goes to New Mexico, Ella Donahue, Jess McLean. I could go on and on.
It just said bring everybody, huh?
Exactly, yeah.
Jeez.
So, I think for me, like the biggest questions are, well, I'll begin on the men's side. I think last year we saw Grant Fisher won this event last year in 26:52. Nico Young set the collegiate record behind him last year in 26:52 as well. Could we see that go down again this year? One thing that I think was lost from the competition last year was Hoptum Samuel was in that race last year as a freshman. And he ran 26:53. If Nico Young had not been in that race, he would have set the collegiate record. So now he's coming back again this year, and I'm thinking, okay, is he going to have that 26:52 circled? Like, will he go after that? Potentially.
Yeah. Yes.
You say yes?
Yes.
Why do you say yes?
I love Hoptum. I'm like a fan favorite. Ever since he ran NCAAs and came cross country and came second with a bloody foot in that weather, like on that ground, I can tell he has, you know how I feel about the people with mindsets. I love a dog. I love a beast. He's a dog and a beast. And I think being that, again, his body went through that and ran those times behind Nico Young is going to, listen, he has the experience. He has the pedigree. He's going to come back and set that record.
Yeah, I'll say I think Hoptum Samuel is meant for the 10K. Like you said, like if for someone, he has that grit that's needed to push through those like 25 laps of a 10K.
Yeah.
And he won the 10K outdoors last year at NCAAs, so he knows how to get it done. So
he has a pair of lungs on him for sure. I like the New Mexico opener back in January when I watched him run the mile. It looked like he maybe ran a lap. Like when he was done, he just was like, all right, like he wasn't breathing heavy. He wasn't talking, like he wasn't bent over like everybody else. And he ran a fairly fast time too. I'll check it in a second. But Yeah, like obviously that's not his race and his strongest. It was just season opener. But when you see the level of strength he has, especially not immediately, but like soon after getting stitched up and being cleared to run, I'm excited for him.
And then I think, other storylines, Graham Blank's really curious. He's never run a 10K. If you look at his resume, this is like his first ever outdoor 10K. So, and it's also his pro outdoor debut.
His cross country 10Ks have worked out pretty well for him.
That's true. Very true. But this will be his first on the track. So, again, wondering what his fitness is like right now to go into a 10K and what the goals. I'm sure that the 27 flat world standard is going to be a goal for him.
It is.
I wonder, has anybody talked to him or heard from him what he's been up to?
Yeah, no. When I was Abe, I had the great opportunity to talk to both Graham and Gibby, and they said they're intentionally going to the 10 to get the 10K standard. So yeah, we definitely have a video of that, and he's going to explain more about what he does. And I would also like to say that talking to him, I don't know if this part, I don't think it's in the video, where he was just saying this is going to be a very special moment, being that he's a pro. To your point, this is going to be his pro debut, and this is nice because he definitely gets a lot more autonomy to pick when he gets to run. He doesn't have to have those volume of races that a collegiate athlete has to run. And Gibby was saying they've noticed a pattern where he would habitually be injured every January. His Achilles would act up because at that point he has ran so much and has rest so little. So things are going to be a lot different now, and it's going to be nice to see where his body can take him with the amount of rest he has, but also like not too much of a change in environment at the same time. So, yeah.
I love that. Let's go ahead and play that interview clip. I believe we have it. Beautiful.
Let's talk about the 10. So obviously you're going there to hopefully achieve the 10K standard. How does preparation look for that?
It's a lot of time outside, a lot of long workouts, still sticking at the high mileage, really not deviating all that much from my my NCAA cross-country training, which is just, long tempos, long fartleks. We get on the track here and there, but since we're still kind of early in that block, we're just kind of trying to lay the groundwork right now and just really grind out those long aerobic efforts. And, it can be pretty tough here in Boston, especially in the winter, with the wind, the ice, even just the salt down on the roads. It can get really grimy out here, but I do think it makes you tough. And man, I can't wait to get out to California. I mean, the weather is going to feel great there.
The first thing we're really looking at getting ready for is at the end of March with the Sound Running 10K. So it's a lot more space, it's a lot more freedom, a lot more flexibility. We don't have to push the envelope to get to performances that are requisite with his talent.
So yeah, it sounds like he's ready.
He's ready. He's ready. Because this was back in January when we spoke. And they had their eyes on this from March. They have a plan. They have a game plan. They're hoping to get their, like I was saying, the 10K standard here. They're hoping to get into certain Diamond League meets where that race, either the 5K or the 10K is going to be run. And they're maybe even planning on moving Graham up in distance because, to your point, he doesn't really run 10Ks outdoor. Maybe, obviously, cross-country season. But, yeah, they're going to see where he's at and see if they're going to make that shift.
Curious to see how many guys we will see go under the standard too. I believe last year 8 men went under 27 minutes in the 10K in that fast section. So who knows how many we'll get this year. Very curious there. Want to transition though. I know we talked about the men. We have to preview the women as well. I think we could see an American record go down this weekend in the women's 10K if all goes well. Because I think if you're looking at this field, it's definitely possible. Elise Cranny is one of the top women all time in the 10K at the American level. Wayne Kaladi is the American half marathon record holder. Last year she was second in this event. She ran 30:33, I believe, to finish second. I mean, I think either of those athletes could challenge it. And plus, I think the field around them is like really solid as well. I mentioned names like Taylor Rowe, Courtney Waymont, Emily Venters is going to be there as well, Emily Infield, Amanda Vestry, like a lot of athletes also coming from the roads to then coming down to the 10K. So I'm curious to see how that's going to translate to the track.
I'm also curious to see because Courtney's a steeplechase girly.
Yes.
So to see that translate too. And then I love Wayne Kaladi. I think if anybody's going to get it, it's going to be her, at least for sure. Wayne's small, but she's very mighty.
She definitely has, I'm sure she's been training over distance for that half marathon and stuff. But again, I was really impressed to see how she fought last year at the 10. How the race developed last year. she was by herself for most of that race. Like, she was just out there kind of on an island, and to do that for a big chunk of a 10K, it can be tough. So I think she has that mentality and some of that strength needed to potentially run something big. Who knows?
I love that.
I like that too. I wanted to also mention I always wonder what is the strategy for running a 10K and all those laps. Just bringing it back to Graham real quick. When I spoke to him about that, he says usually you'll know when he's kicking because in his head he's playing a Leonard Skinner song, and then at the guitar solo is when he really gets the wheels turning. He said he's been trying to implement that strategy within the rest of the Harvard team, but it hasn't really been picking up like that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's always interesting to think about strategies. Once I ran one 10K in my college career, and the strategy for me is, so the amount of laps you do for a 10K is almost the amount of letters in the alphabet. So every lap you think of as many words as you can think of with that one letter.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
I might do that for like my half marathon. I mean, it's 13 miles. Maybe I'll just cut the alphabet in half.
However, then you get to some letters and all you can think of are some some words I probably cannot say on here. But yeah.
That's funny. Oh, I'm going to steal that strategy. Hopefully I have like a little PR or something. It's my first half.
There you go.
So it won't be a PR.
It will be a PR. That's the best
By
way to think.
default.
You're going to leave there with a personal best.
You know what? I like that.
A lot of people can't say that entering a race.
Period. Thanks for the strategy. Maybe you should tell the field when you get there, like, hey, y'all, if you're nervous, I have an idea for you.
I'm sure they have way better strategies than I do, but that was my way to get through the suffering.
I don't know. The Ashley Tishan's method might be.
Hey.
Maybe, who knows? But yeah, anyways, obviously the 10Ks will be really big, but there'll also be pro fields in the men's and women's 1500. There'll be some top sections of the boys and girls 32 and 16 and 800 for part of kind of that Hocus session there. I know on the high school side, really looking forward to seeing Riley Blade. She ran one of the fastest ever indoor 5Ks, I believe, just at Nike Indoor Nationals a couple weeks ago. I think she ran like 15:16 or something like that. So she'll be a fun one to watch. But overall, yeah, it's gonna be a fun one in Cali.
I'm excited. I'm a little jealous you get to go to California.
I wish we could be in two places at once.
I know, right? I mean, no, we can't.
Texas in the 10s. It could be a good weekend for outdoor track.
It is going to be a fun weekend. I'm excited. We'll be split. You'll be at the 10 with Brian and John.
Yes.
And Ryan.
And Ryan Fenton. Yes, he will be there as well. Yes.
Awesome. And then we'll be kicking it at Texas Relays. I'm so excited. Yeah. Well, it's been so fun chatting it up at the meetup. Make sure y'all tune in every single Tuesday for a new episode. Thanks, y'all.